Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Tea for Teas, where we talk about the issues that might be important to the trans people in your life. This episode, we're going to be talking about how you can start transitioning publicly and how you can start socially and physically changing your body and your appearance to start matching what feels right for you. And I think where I'm going to start this off is in the more social aspect, and then we're going to kind of move towards the medical things if people are interested in my experience in that. And I hope this helps y'all, and I'm looking forward to breaking down this really important topic. So I touched on this a little bit in my last video, and I think that one of the most important things that you can do when you're first transitioning is to try and find some support networks, and whether that's a trans support group, whether it is, a close group of friends outside of, the trans world where you just have people you feel safe and you can come out to them and talk about that, or whether it's just your coworker at work who is cool with LGBTQ stuff. Whatever avenue that you feel safe and secure exploring, I would really recommend doing, because it's just so important to have other people acknowledging you during this journey. So along those lines, I think it's just really important to have some support in your life and to have someone you can talk to about these issues, and someone who you can talk to about navigating all these really big hurdles with, and who can give you some validation, when you're talking about these things and how you feel. Just having some supportive person in your life makes a huge difference, because if all you're getting is the negativity, it can really affect you. So another big thing when I first started transitioning is I really didn't know how to style myself, and I went and I just kind of tried to figure it out myself for a really long time, and I had all right results. Like, most people would still gender me correctly, and I quote unquote passed, but I wasn't comfortable, and I just wasn't happy, when I woke up and started trying on clothes. And I think that just having some positive influence in your life in that way is also really important. I'm going to link some fellow YouTube content creators in the description below. So at the end of the video, please feel free to check down in the description box and you'll see some of these people. But Katie Yu is a phenomenal fashion influencer, and she does a lot of really helpful videos on how to style properly. And Alexandra from Alexandra's Girly Talk, she does a couple of fashion videos, but also just some general healthcare and daily maintenance stuff, which are also just very important parts of me feeling feminine and good in my body, is doing those kind of self-care routines that I thought were so not important for so long. So I'm going to link those in the description, and I hope y'all enjoy them. So the next part I want to talk about is, I mentioned earlier that you should, find support out there, and that you should try to find ways to connect with other people and talk about what's going on in your life. But a trap that I really fell into a couple years ago, and especially early on in my transition, just in general, I would place all of my transition, needs on my other partner, and, all of the flowers that I wanted to get myself and all of the outfits that I'd wanted, I'd be like, oh, my partner is, gonna do that because that's what partners do. And it just, you really should be able to take care of yourself first. And I just think that it might seem kind of obvious to some people, but just being able to stand on your own ground and really putting time into your own transition, like really taking time out of your schedule to work on your transition, um, you know, that really is something that was important for me. um, I think we have an idea of, when I find the right person, for especially being part of the kink community and the BDSM community, is like, I want my partner to kind of like help train me and help, like, you know, um, give me guidance and support in that area. And it's nice that they do that, but you should also do it for yourself too. I think it's important. And kind of on that vein is healing from your inner child, and healing your inner child and the wounds that they have is really important in your transition, because I found that a lot of times the biggest blocks in my transition were actually the biggest blocks in my emotional life, and I wasn't able to feel the things I needed to feel comfortable because I was still having those emotional safeguard walls up. And I think it's a constant process of learning and growing and letting those walls down, but just being aware that, as a trans woman or as a trans person in general, you probably have some inherent trauma going through a society that does not really think you should exist in a lot of places. So it's hard to get through that, and you should give yourself credit for that. Just surviving is an act of amazing perseverance and willpower, and you should be proud of yourself for doing that. But just understand that it's okay to have trauma, and it's okay to need to take time to heal from that. And if you need a lot of time to just sit there and heal, that's what you need, and it's okay, and you deserve it. I think it's just really important that this isn't a new you that we're going for. This is the true you. This is the real unmasked, authentic version of yourself, and you deserve to take time to figure out who that is. I think the next thing kind of ties into all of that, and when you're going through this process of finding out who you are and letting go of some of these painful experiences that you might have had, I think it's important to be willing to try new things and to really be open to exploring skills that might be something out of your comfort zone. For me, it was really hard to learn how to do nail art, and it was really hard for me to do things like Lyra. It's still really hard for me to do Lyra. Anything that involves me being, moving my body around other people who are observing that is hard for me sometimes. And I think that the more you do it, the easier it gets. And it's just, they're skills like anything else. Like, you have to learn how to build a computer. You can't just do that in a day. I mean, some people can, but most people can't. And, even if you can, it doesn't mean that you're going to do everything else that fast. And just because you might not be good at something doesn't mean it's not fun and enjoyable and worth doing. For me, I think, having things like gymnastics and dance and Lyra and, doing nail painting and singing in my feminine voice, it really helps me, bring more of myself to life and, find out what things really do make me happy. I think that, just learning how to do my eyeshadow for the first time, it was something that was terrifying for me, but I spent a couple hours and I did it. And, for the first time, at least, I spent months and months, if not years. I'm still looking up eyeshadow videos. It's like 6 years later, so some things never change, but I enjoy it, and it brings me a lot of happiness. And it's something that was at one point really, really hard for me to do. It was something way out of my comfort zone. I couldn't even think about it without having like a panic attack. And Yeah, I couldn't even walk into a Sephora. Let me tell you, it was so hard. I was so scared, and I think just being able to get out of your comfort zone is just so valuable when you're trying to do something that is quite literally going from one extreme to the other, or anywhere in between, when you're just trying to make a big change like that. So, this is going to be the last thing I talk about on the social side, and then we're going to talk about the medical issues. But sometimes there are going to be people that just don't support you. Sometimes, no matter what you do, people just won't think you're good enough, and they're going to talk behind your back. They're going to say nasty things. Um, but when you know who you are, and when you're able to be confident and really sit there and just honor that, no matter what anyone else says, I think that power and that feeling is so is so worth it, because it gives you the freedom to just live your life authentically however you choose. And it's really difficult for people to understand things that they don't have any experience with or anything that they can relate to, but that doesn't mean it has to define your reality. So, on your journey with this, I wish you lots of love and support, and just know that you do deserve to do things that make you feel good and make you feel comfortable and happy, no matter what anyone else says. I'm actually going to